Easy now, folks. Well, here we go. The reason I shut down the big 6 foot tank is because I had this on order. The Juwel Rio 450. I've already spray painted the back with this plastic coat, built the base, put the tank on it, and now it's time to set it up. One of the first things I can tell you I like about this aquarium is that it's on plastic feet. What that means is if you spill water on the floor at any point, it's not going to soak into your wood and weaken it. But since my floor is less than straight, I've had to find another way to level the tank out. I like the way they give you a wee cleaning brush for your filter. I think it's a nice wee touch, but I'm not going to go too much into the filter. Some people love it, some people hate it. I'm going to set it up as standard and see how we go, but I will say I've been running it for 2 weeks so far and it seems great. I'll maybe come back to that later on when we've learned more about it, but next we're going to put this Tropica aquarium soil in. I use this as a base layer in all my planted tanks. I think it gives the heavy root feeding plants a nice start. It's a clay based substrate that gives the plants a chance to get established and something to feed on for a long time after that. You only need a few centimetres of it, so this is a 9 litre bag, but you can buy smaller bags for smaller tanks. Then it's a case of dumping it out, spreading it out evenly along the bottom, and it's usually a good idea to push it a few centimetres away from the front if you don't have a trim. However, this tank does. Next comes our substrate, and I'm going for sand in this tank, so I'm using Unipack silica sand. I think it's a nice colour and a nice size grain. It means the roots can bury through. There are alternatives. Some people use play sand, but I think that compacts far too much and it doesn't allow the roots passage. Basically, we're wanting an inert sand that doesn't have anything in it like lime or anything like that. Aquarium sand can be a little bit more expensive, but it's built for the purpose and I think it's perfect. For a tank this size, you're looking for between 60 and 80 kilograms, which is quite a lot, but well worth it. And again, we want to spread it out across the aquarium, slightly sloped towards the back, more depth at the back. After that, we're going to start placing our scape. And a lot of people will tell you this is where you want to spend a wee bit of time getting it right, planning out and getting it looking how you're wanting it. But I'm terrible for tinkering. Once the tank is fully set up, I'll probably mess about with it a few times till I get it how I want it. So I'm just kind of placing things generally where I think they're going to go. After that, we can start adding some water. Generally a good idea to pour it into something that's going to spread the force of the water so that it's not disrupting your substrate, especially if you've used a base layer underneath sand, because it's going to start to mix. That will just make a mess and ruin all your good work so far. You'll probably end up starting again. So definitely you do not want to use Mrs. DKF's kitchen strainer. That is going to get you in trouble. Shh, don't say anything. Anyway, keep adding water, then more water, then even more water. Honestly, this is the first time in fish keeping I actually wished I had a python. 45 10-litre buckets from the other end of the house after moving tanks around all day. So something else I noticed at this stage was the max and minimum recommended fill line. And there's not a lot of wriggle room in this, about 5 centimetres. However, like I said, I've been running this tank for 2 weeks and it doesn't seem to be too much water loss through condensation. There is a slight gap between the edge of the tank and the lid on the side. Otherwise, it's really tight fitting. It's not big enough for a fish to jump out or to lose much through evaporation. There are 2 wee recesses, one at each end, where you can add filter pipes, etc. if you want, but a wee bit of sponge soon blocks them up if you're not using them. And while we're on about the lids, They do offer plenty of space to get in about the tank. All you got to do is flip the back section up and then the front, and then you can push the whole lighting section towards the back so you can get easy access. There's loads of room to do your maintenance, catch a fish you need to, or even remove or place large pieces of your scape. To get it back neatly, just shut the front panel and pull it back to the edge of the tank where it fits neatly, and then close the back. I'm actually using one of those recesses we spoke about to let my pothos grow out of, so I need to be careful putting that back. So we can add our plants now, and I'm using all new plants in this tank, so it's going to take a while to look nice the way I want it to. To me, a tank is never finished until the plants are looking great, but that's going to take a wee bit of time. And one thing this hobby teaches us is patience, hey? So in the meantime, a couple more things that I've found out about this tank that I really like. First of all, these door closers. The doors on the base of this aquarium don't have any handles, which adds to the elegance. So these wee devices help you to ping the doors open, but also they absorb any vibration when the doors are closing. That helps to prevent your fish getting startled. I think that's brilliant. And whilst we're on about the doors, they also hide these ample cupboard spaces underneath. I've already set up my 30cm Aqua 1 Cube tanks underneath. I think they look kind of dwarfed in there. I think over time I might upgrade them to 40cm cubes. But as you can see, there's plenty of room for them. The middle section is shelved. So at the moment I've thrown in some of the foods that I feed most frequently, a few bits of equipment and stuff, and then underneath I've got my brine shrimp hatchery, my electrics and my air pump. Probably not how this is going to finish up, but this is early days. Whatever I decide to do, I'm going to have loads of space to do it anyway. This was one of the driving forces behind acquiring this tank. In fact, if you remember my 6-foot tank, it was just on a stand and the tanks at the bottom were open. So we have little people here, and the human fry loved getting in about the tanks, wearing some of the plants that were in there and dropping fizzy sweets in for the fish to eat. Now with these doors that have no obvious handle, well, they've not found their way in so far anyway. Another thing I like is this designated feeding hatch in the lid. Dead handy for dropping the food in if you like to feed in that location, but also it's a perfect size for adding an auto feeder. I like these Eheim auto feeders if I've got to go away for a few days. And that hatch is a nice size to deposit the food without dropping any on the edges. It sometimes can get a wee bit mouldy and make a mess. The plate is removed easily and snaps back securely. I'll need to see if that dual sticker comes off though. Kind of ruins the look of things. But there you go anyway. The reason I shut down my beloved 6-foot tank, which I will miss, it's like an old friend to me. However, this is a nice upgrade. Comes in a few different colours. I chose the white because it matches the scheme that we chose for this room. It's a foot shorter, but gives me an extra 150 litres to what I had. There's more depth and more height. And it's just a beautiful tank. Like I said, need time for the plants to grow in till it looks the way I want it. But hey, I've got a good start here. Really like this tank so far. If I learn anything else I do or do not like about it, I will update you. But for now, I guess I'm out. Later.